Hello, it's Wayne Poggenpoel from TFL Consulting in South Africa. Hello, Wayne. How's it going?
All good, Simon. How are you keeping? How's downtown Australia treating you?
Yeah, downtown in Down Under is good. Yeah, it's lovely to connect with you all the way in Gauteng in South Africa. Is that right? Yeah. And
Yeah, that's correct.
and welcome to the Zing Revenue Show. And Wayne, maybe you'd like to share about yourself, your experience, your background.
Yeah, Simon. Well, it's a long story, but I'll try to keep it short.
Sure.
I come from an audit background originally, and that's really my expertise within the audit game itself. I've moved on from audit. I've moved on to various companies where I've been a chief audit executive. I've also been a chief risk officer. And I've also, the latest gig that I had was leading the financial services sector for a consulting firm. Since then, I have opened up a TFL Consulting, which is a bespoke management consulting firm. And what we tend to do is we help businesses make better decisions. We help them avoid costly mistakes. We also help them gain credibility amongst the investors and of course their clients. So the stakeholders overall. That's we try and gain credibility for them itself.
Hmm.
Our focus combination on the corporate
Yep.
and SME sector. So what I try and do is I try to bring governance from the corporate sector down to the SME sector itself, using various innovative techniques and of course technology.
Hmm. That's cool. And tell us about both your work in the SME sector as well as the corporate sector, Wayne.
As you probably know, Simon, you're coming from both sides as well. Within the corporate sector, you've got more structure, you've got more frameworks that you work with. Whereas on the SME sector, there's just very little to no structure, a lot of chaos, and of course the SME side also they they need to approach business more. I believe more from a corporate perspective to really gain that structure and as well as that credibility in the market.
Yep. Yeah. So two very different universes. One which is, very unstructured, and one which is very structured. And how do you attempt to bring structure to the SME sector, which is, by nature not very structured or doesn't have the discipline that, the corporate world has? What is your approach, Wayne?
An approach with lots of difficulties. Let me start with this. Yeah, as you know, I mean, you're working with business owners.
Sure.
You're working with individuals that's proud of their creation. You're working with individuals that has a lot of pride. So of course, it's a much more complex scenario here that you're facing. But
Mhm.
what I have done in the meanwhile, in order to really get governance going in the SME sector, is using an innovative technique. I call it the edge approach, and I tend to say this to the SMEs: let TFL give you the edge.
That's right.
So
And Wayne, as you can see, in the surrounding frame, the edge framework is on the screen. So let's walk through your edge framework.
yeah, as you know, it's edge. I mean, it's spelled EDGE. And if you look at the E in edge, it's really to execute. The first one is executing with clarity, having the right structures in place so that the correct decisions can be made. Then, of course, you've got detect. And here you want to detect risks early. You want to avoid these costly mistakes. So you really want to identify those issues that can impede you achieving your objectives. Then we go to the G, grow. Let us grow with clarity. Let us build, but let us build structurally. Let us build in a good way where we are able to mitigate all those risks that comes along with growth.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you've got the E, to ensure compliance. As you know, a lot of SMEs, they very lack on
Right.
compliance with in
Yeah.
South Africa, the South African Revenue Services,
Yeah.
unemployment insurance fund, etc., and so on. So
Yes.
that's also what we want to do with the E is ensure
Yeah.
compliance on a continuous basis.
Yeah. That's right. That's excellent. Those are really good things that the SME companies need, in order to, uh, to prove themselves to be of greater value to not only, I suppose, their customers, and their employees, because if you have a well-structured business, then your employees can see the discipline, and they can have the morale, the higher morale, to do their work, because they know that there's all these things, all these systems in place, and that essentially the business is serious. And and also compliance is really important, because as we know, Wayne, the working with regulators, the regulators, shall we say, for lack of a better phrase, has very sharp teeth. So we want to make sure that the companies, right, they are in line with their obligations and responsibilities, and even small business owners, right, they don't have this sort of discipline.
Yeah, no, definitely, Simon. I tend to agree, but it's not just from an SME perspective, Simon. I think it would help the funders also. This approach would help the funders. As we know, SMEs are continuously looking for funding,
Yes,
and rightly so. I mean, they maybe want to grow, they want to grow further, and they just don't have the funds.
definitely.
And this is an ideal approach or framework
Yeah.
that could be beneficial to the funders as well. Because as we know, I mean, funders they prefer businesses because these businesses reduces the risks. They maybe want businesses that has an improved operational stability.
Yeah.
In the end, they want to ensure that their funds are made to good use.
Yeah.
What this Edge framework does,
Yeah.
it builds that trust through clear role, through clear risk tracking, structured growth, compliance practices, as we mentioned before. And Edge makes a small business predictable, it makes them professional, and of course, fundable by showing it can manage resources, it can plan for the future, and stay accountable, giving funders that additional confidence that their investment is actually well handled. And I'm sure that's all that funders are looking for. If I'm
Yeah.
going to give you my funds, are you going to look after it? And you know what I do sometimes? I mean, where I have SMEs coming to me looking for funds, I would say, okay, let me put you in my shoes. So will you use your own money to fund your business? And that's also what funders are looking for, as they call it, Simon, skin in the game.
That's
Are you
right.
prepared to risk skin? They call it skin in the game. You've heard of that before?
Yeah. Yeah. Skin in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you committed
And
to the
basically,
cause?
yeah, basically what
Yes.
funders are asking is, are you willing to risk your funds
Yeah.
as well?
Yeah. It's
So yeah, that's
so high risk,
sorry.
so high risk for the funders.
Mhm.
when
Correct.
there's no discipline, there's no structure, there's absolutely no idea what is needed in order to be a business that is growing, generating revenue, and keeping costs down.
Yeah. Correct. 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 Definitely.
Great. So that's awesome because Wayne, actually Wayne, how what is the percentage of SMEs when it comes to generating jobs for the South African economy?
I mean, I don't have the exact figures,
Sure.
but my guesstimate is it could easily be about 80% of the jobs created. That would be SMEs
Wow,
creating those
that's
jobs.
huge.
That is outside of the informal sector. Because remember, South Africa has a huge informal sector. So that's outside of that because that was not counted. So,
Yeah.
and that could push it up to 85, 90%. It's quite a high percentage.
Wow. Wow. That is incredible. And I'd wager to say that a lot of these businesses, their number one source of challenge is funding.
Definitely. They're always looking for funding. And let me give you a stat. About 85 to 90% of all funding applications in South Africa has been declined.
Oh
That's
dear.
a massive percentage. It's
Oh
huge.
dear.
And what these funders are asking for, maybe we should have a different approach. Maybe the credit risk profile that we're using should change. Maybe the factors that we're looking at should change because the SME is driving our economy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And given
But,
that,
but here's another step. Here's another step,
yeah.
which I could possibly understand why funders are declining.
Mhm.
Businesses within the first 5 years from startup, 90% of them fail.
Yep. Entrepreneurs
90%.
graveyard, as they call it.
Is that it? Yeah. But then once again, why are they failing?
Yeah.
If we try and understand that,
Hmm.
it's possibly because
Yes.
structure,
Yeah.
direction,
Hmm.
not identifying those or avoiding those costly mistakes,
Sure.
not gaining the credibility from the funder.
Hmm. Yeah.
And if we change that mindset of an SMME owner, I think a lot can change. I think that percentage, that statistic will change drastically.
Yeah. Yeah. And that would be an enormous impact because we all know that one of the issues that the country is facing is high unemployment rate. And if
Mhm.
these SMEs can have access to quality funding, and if they can run their businesses in a structured manner that can capture the attention of the funders, then I think that that is a massive win for the South African economy.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, and these are jobs we need. These are jobs that society needs. I mean,
Yes.
our unemployment in South Africa is increasing.
Yeah.
It's definitely
Yeah.
increasing. It's
Yeah.
difficult to find jobs.
Hmm.
So yes, we need to give the SME sector a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's wonderful, Wayne, because you've got this wonderful uh, privilege of an opportunity of being in between the two parties, and you can engineer using the H framework, to bring the two together and have deals struck.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Wayne, I'm really excited because you're one of those few people whom I term courageous leaders.
Mm-hmm.
As I think that you have a very cutting edge mindset with regards to taking advantage of all the tools that we have nowadays. And of course, when I talk about tools and the word nowadays, when I put the two words together, obviously it just means one thing, and that's two letters, and that is AI. And Wayne, I love it because you are always, interested in AI. You're finding ways, to bring tech enablement to your business. Maybe you can share with us how, you are taking advantage of AI and tech to along with the Edge framework to make, this thing happen.
Yeah, artificial intelligence is, I think it's still a subject that is relatively new. I mean, the buzzword in today's business circles, it's AI this and AI that. I also tend to believe that a lot of us do not actually understand AI itself. They tend to believe that AI is the be it all.
Yeah.
And what AI is actually a tool. It's exactly like a laptop that you use every day. Artificial intelligence is a tool. It learns from us. We need to give the information in order for it to learn or in order for it to give us results. What I will admit is it does create efficiencies. And to those efficiencies, there's also a downside. We just spoke about unemployment and how big unemployment is, not just in South Africa, but globally. I mean, I read an article where I think it was PwC that, yeah, there was job losses of about, is it 150 to about 300, roundabout there in the United States. Yeah, so AI itself is going to add to that problem. Definitely, it is going to add. I'm seeing it already. However, it does has its advantages. As a matter of fact, AI, if you use the normal Gen AI, I don't believe there's a human being that can actually write the way artificial intelligence can write. How it matches the words together and how it articulates itself. That to me is a good thing. So for writing reports, it's fantastic. Of course, you need to know what you're writing.
Hmm.
You as the person
Hmm.
requesting AI to do it, you need to understand the subject. Because as you know, Simon, I mean, you speak often about it, hallucinations and making up. Remember, AI's AI, the AI tools need to give you information to a certain extent, no matter what you ask.
That's right.
So
That's
if it doesn't have, it will create information. That's what hallucination is about. So
yeah.
you definitely need to review what
Mhm.
you ask artificial intelligence to do or
Yeah.
the tool to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Great. That's wonderful, Wayne. Those are excellent reminders. I love your point about report writing and about articulation because I think that that is one of the strengths that AI, generative AI, brings. And I also, you know me, I'm into warning people about hallucinations, excuse me. So I think that that's really important to remember that we need to check constantly, the outputs of AI so that they are correct. I mean, we've seen
Mhm.
a lot of problems where, for example, lawyers are citing non-existent cases, and judges going not very impressed with the lawyers for about their submissions. So I think that it's a double-edged sword, but I think overall it's a really positive tool. Don't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. You know, Simon, sometimes, or I always say, I mean, there's always two sides to a coin.
Mm.
There's always two sides to a coin. Is
Yeah.
you're gonna have its advantages
Mhm.
and you're gonna have its disadvantages.
Yeah.
It's just weighing up those options and balancing it
Correct.
to your
Correct.
organization's
Yeah.
benefit and making sure that there are safeguards in place.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Once we get that right, and once we find that balance, I tend to believe artificial intelligence is something that can be used in the business environment itself.
Mhm.
But remember, it doesn't just take away jobs, also, it also creates jobs to a
Yeah,
certain extent
absolutely.
from a
Yeah,
technical perspective.
yeah, yeah. I agree. Yeah,
So, but yeah, like I say, it's a balancing act. It's like anything.
yeah,
It's a balancing act.
sure, sure. Right. Wayne, um, there was a phone call there. Wayne, I think I need to draw out from you more about your corporate experience because I think that is really your strength. The projects that you've done for all these big companies in South Africa, and your experience in multiple executive roles. Maybe you can walk us through, like maybe for example, three, from your experience, that you are proud of and you can share with us.
Mhm. Sure, let me focus on three that I'm particularly proud of. I think the first one is where I was pulled in to assist a shopping center to be the chief financial officer. That was in Tiger Valley, Cape Town itself, and a whole different ball game. But of course, the key here was to understand the business. I mean, there's one thing I can take out of there is really understanding how property management works,
Mm,
the different revenue streams,
mhm.
as well as the different costs involved.
Right.
So I think from that perspective, yes, I mean those who have been finance officers or chief financial officers, no, it can get monotonous to a certain extent,
Sure.
but it's up to you what you do with the
Yeah.
information you get.
Yeah.
It's up to you to do with what processes needs to be put in place itself. But it's really up to the individual because you can make it exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, that was one. I think I gained tremendous experience in the property management sector.
Wonderful.
Then, of course, then I was also a chief audit executive
Mhm.
for a research company.
Nice.
And this is different because now you're working with PhDs.
Hmm.
You're working with individuals that believe they know everything there is to know.
Yeah.
That game, total different game, because I had to approach it very diplomatically.
Mhm.
And of course, I had to understand their thinking, where they're coming from. And as a matter of fact, it actually helped me because I got a master's degree. And it was as a result of that that I went into that.
Beautiful.
So, yeah, different ballgame, same process. Internal audit, it's internal audit.
Yeah.
So I have to ensure that the internal audit function is functioning
Hmm.
effectively.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then the laws, call it a gig, the last gig I had, I was the financial services lead
Hmm.
for a consulting firm, and there
Yes. Yes.
my clients were banks, my clients were asset managers,
Yeah.
my clients were private equity firms,
Yeah.
my clients were
Hmm.
insurance companies, insurance carriers,
Hmm.
and yeah,
Hmm.
very regulatory driven. So
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
lots of regulations you got to understand.
Hmm. Hmm.
You got to understand how it fits into the business, and you got to understand how the business operates, and
Yes.
that's yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah, I mean that was quite exciting, and
Yeah.
it kept me to insurance because insurance is something
Yes.
I know.
Yeah.
It's something that I enjoy. It's something
Lovely.
that I'm passionate about.
Yes.
Uh, so yeah, in a nutshell, I think those are those three key areas from a corporate perspective
Yeah.
where I believe I had plenty of excitement.
Mhm. And that is wonderful because I also enjoy insurance as well. And, we're both involved in this space. And I think it's also wonderful that you mentioned the regulators because that is a very large part of the financial landscape, the business landscape. We talked about it for SMEs, And we I'm pretty sure the finance sector, banks, insurance carriers, yeah, all these big companies, they have to deal with the regulators. And if they don't manage their affairs, then they end up in trouble. And when you have had experience as in curatorship, maybe you can share a little bit about that experience with us.
Yeah. Yeah, that was, that's the word I'm looking for. Contentious. And I tell you why.
Sure.
And I tell you why.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, before the curatorship,
Uh-huh.
I was actually the head of control for internal audit for that very same company.
Hmm.
For the very same company. And I actually warned management, guys, we need to implement controls to mitigate various financial risks. Year in, year out, I was there for 3 years as the HOC internal audit. I continuously warn them that, if we're
Yeah.
not going to do something,
Sure.
something bad is going to happen.
Yes, definitely.
My words were not even cold.
Hmm.
Um, they were first that same company. Of course, I resigned from the company that I
Yeah.
was working for because I just felt that here's something coming and I don't want to be involved in that. And then I think it's 1 month after I left the consulting firm,
Hmm.
that insurance firm was put into curatorship, provisional curatorship. And as
Yeah.
a matter of fact, the provisional curator actually made contact with me because I understood the business. I knew what was happening in the business, where the problems were, where
Yeah.
the risks were sitting.
Yeah. Excuse
And
me,
then, of
Wayne.
course,
Wayne, excuse me. For the sake of someone
yeah.
watching this, maybe you can explain what provisional curatorship means.
Okay, so what happens before an insurance company goes into curatorship?
Hmm.
They would be put into provisional curatorship, and the purpose there is to see whether issues could be fixed
Yeah.
prior to putting them into curatorship. Because once you're in curatorship, you are not allowed to get further clients or further policyholders.
Right.
So you just got to manage the business as is
Hmm.
until you're taken out of curatorship. So yes, so what would happens? You first go into a provisional curatorship. They will see
Yes.
if they can fix the various processes,
Hmm.
the various non-compliance issues, because it's actually the non-compliance issues that will make the curator that will make the regulator decide to put you into curatorship.
Yeah. A
So this
provisional.
non-compliance,
Yeah.
sorry,
Provisional curatorship, you mean?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Then
So,
once you're in,
yeah.
yeah,
No, no, no.
once you,
Go on. Go on. Sorry.
okay, once you're in provisional curatorship,
Hmm.
and they still cannot fix the issues they have come across,
Hmm.
they would then put you into curatorship,
Hmm.
and management would have no responsibilities. They would have no power. Talking about executive management, so the curator makes all the decisions in the company. The
Wow.
curator, of course, appointed by the regulator.
Right. Okay.
So that's how it happened. And then, as a matter of fact, the curator
Hmm.
also changed. Because remember, I told you there was a provisional curator?
Yes.
Then they appointed a curator.
Right.
Then the curator also made contact with myself.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what I needed to do there is to align the risk management function and the compliance function
Hmm.
with the regulations. We
Hmm.
call it the GOI standards, which is the governance standards for insurers,
Yeah.
which is legislation.
Right.
So I had to align structurally
Hmm.
those functions to comply with legislation. So yeah, that was my responsibilities when it came
Uh,
to curatorship.
so,
Of
so
course, I also deal with the regulator because there were various
yes.
complaints.
Yep.
You deal with the ombudsman,
Hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah, that
hopefully,
was a very challenging, very challenging task for you. And would it be fair to say that it was a success and the company came out of professional curatorship?
okay. What I can say, the
Yeah.
structures and the processes that I put in place
Mm.
was a success.
Great.
But but
Mm.
the company is still under curatorship at
Got
this
it.
stage.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, it's great that you bring such experience, such depth of experience. I mean, you've got big companies, you got medium companies like shopping centers, and you've got, now small companies, and you bring all this experience to both parties, SMEs and funders, and you're addressing a real issue with South Africans society nowadays, which is the need for SMEs to survive and thrive in a long term context, to be robust and to have a sustainable business model that can hire
Mhm.
staff and grow and continue to keep costs down and to grow the profits and to continue to you know um, just take in more people into the company and multiply this across the whole country. I think that TFL Consulting has got a really bright future.
Yeah,
Yeah.
coming back, I mean, you talk about
Hello, Wayne. Wayne, we lost you. Wayne, are you there? Looks like Wayne's connection has been disconnected. Um, just wait a minute more. Okay. Uh, Either I'm disconnected or Wayne's disconnected. Yeah. Uh, okay,
sorry.
Wayne, we're back.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
We
You
back?
got disconnected. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Is
We're
it?
talking. We were talking about the SMEs and the funders. And how
Yeah,
you're the
yeah.
bridge there.
My view, yeah, yeah. In terms of what we've got to realize, it's very important for us as SMMEs when we approach a funder, we've got to try and understand what are they really thinking,
Yeah.
because that's going to guide our pitch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
number one, although
Yeah.
we as SMEs, we love our products, we
Hmm.
love our services, but the funder don't care about our struggles. They don't
Absolutely.
care about
Yeah.
our passion.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't care about our dreams.
Hmm.
You know what funders are thinking? If I give this person, and let's say 1 million rand,
Yeah.
will I get it back with a
Yes.
return?
Yeah.
With a return.
Yes.
It's it's cold, but that's the game. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. That's the
Yeah.
game. They
Yeah.
are assessing the risk.
Yeah.
Our
Yeah.
job is to convince them that giving them money is safer and a smarter bet.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's what they're looking for. I mean, we got to understand. I mean, we're not just selling our product.
Hmm.
We are selling ourselves as a leader, as an executor,
Yeah.
as a safe bet.
Yes.
Families are looking for such signals.
Yeah.
They want to
Yeah.
understand,
Yeah.
or is this owner coachable?
Yeah.
Are you in control of your numbers?
Hmm.
Is there a real paying market? If they
Yes.
smell any
Yeah.
uncertainty,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
money walk. The
Yes.
money walk.
Yeah.
If I can just use
Yeah.
that with
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
SMEs.
Yeah. Absolutely. There is such a high risk game for funders, and even in other countries, we see venture capital firms and other funding bodies, struggle with risk, and only a small percentage of those, investments actually turn out to be profitable. And the days of, I suppose, massive growth companies like the Magnificent Seven, Facebook, and sorry,
Mhm.
Meta and Amazon, all these are
Mhm.
over, So I think it's great to introduce a more sustainable a pool of candidates, to the funders,
Mhm.
and I think that that
Mhm.
would be just a very beautiful thing. Of course, it is hard work, and it requires a constant communication, and it requires um, the a lot of effort and implementation and execution from the SMEs, so that they can really deliver the numbers and the metrics that the funders are looking for.
Mhm. 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 No, yes, I mean, definitely. I mean, I tend to believe the business environment is slowly changing.
Yeah.
The risks are changing.
Mhm.
Stakeholders are expecting more.
Yeah.
But what does this do? It creates opportunity. I really
Absolutely.
see
Yeah.
plenty of opportunity. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer. Where there's chaos,
Yeah.
there's opportunity.
Yeah.
And it seems like the world is
Yeah.
entering a
Yeah.
chaotic situation. I mean,
Yeah.
we look. I was
Yeah.
just reading, or I was watching an article on the news this morning in the United States. I think
Mhm.
it's California or Los Angeles.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you look all over the world. You look at Israel
Mhm.
or Gaza.
Yeah.
You look at Sudan.
Yeah.
uh, It just looks like it's a constant chaotic situation.
Yes.
But within that chaos
Yeah.
lies the opportunity.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Wonderful. That's. I think that wraps up our show today, and we've gone overboard a bit. But Wayne, I really enjoy listening to you, and I'm really excited about your business and how you are going to bridge the SMEs and the funders and have this massive social impact on the country. So thank you, Wayne, CEO of TFL Consulting. Wayne, how would your listeners and those people who want to get in touch with you do so?
Definitely, they can contact me on Wayne at
Hmm.
tfl-consulting.com. They could email me directly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wonderful. That's great.
I'll just repeat. It's Wayne, Wayne, at tfl-consulting.com.
Wonderful. And of course, they can also find you on the world's premier networking site,
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
they will probably find me writing something controversial once again.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Wayne, and have a beautiful day. Wayne Poggenpoel of TFL Consulting, Pty Ltd. Thank you very much. Have a good day.